I mean, you know what? We didn't have to clear the room. But the good news is we're on X Live, which is really exciting. And we're also here at the Wynn. So welcome, everybody. I'm here with John Halley. He needs no introduction, but for those of you who don't know him, he's the president of Paramount Advertising Global. It's Paramount Global. Is that
Global? Let's see, that's the company's name, Paramount Global. It's interesting that we do have a pretty tight organization, and the international team rolls up to me, dual reports, and we do have an actual global advertising engine, which I think a lot of people don't realize is pretty unique in this business.
Yeah, there's a real difference between having a U.S.-based domestic advertising business and a global business. We're going to get to that because I want to learn a little bit more about how you guys divide the duties. I would be remiss if I did not just start this by saying, hey, you guys are in the news a lot, and might be the target of, I don't know, several takeover bids simultaneously, like now. Care to comment anyway?
Well, I mean, I can't say much. Obviously, a lot of that is at the national amusements level. They're the controlling shareholder, different board, different representation, the whole thing. I will tell you that what I know, I mostly learned by reading Puck. Shameless plug. Bill Cohen seems to get an unbelievable amount of scoops.
Yes.
Matt Maloney, those are great,
Yes.
But it is, look, the reality of this is, as we're working through it, there's going to be short-term stability at the company regardless of what happens. We're not, we don't have our head in the clouds about this, but this is the nature of the business, and it is fast-changing. We are in a period of consolidation. We can see that. There are many examples of consolidation, either through JV ties or actual acquisition. And this is the business we're in. As I say, this is the life we chose. So
I get it, and I think it's important to reiterate or to emphasize that short-term stability, it's really not that short-term. The thing isn't going to turn over overnight.
Exactly.
So yeah. All right, that out of the way, and I wanted to get that out of the way because it's sort of been hanging over every time.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so Super Bowl sold out in advance in a way that we haven't seen in years. You are in charge of that.
Yeah.
This is all your fault.
It's all my fault. No, it's not. I'm reminded constantly, this is the first time I've had this experience, and I keep being told by the sports team, John, this is not normal. This is not normal. Enjoy it, right? It's much more typical to be dealing with a handful of units coming into the weekend. We had the good fortune of being sold out months ago. We say virtually sold out because all the creative in the Super Bowl, this is very interesting. The creative is all for the Super Bowl, right? There's a lot that can go haywire when you're dealing with what that outcome could look like. And so, we had a couple pieces move, but by and large, we're going to stay sellout for months. And our discussions began for the Super Bowl in October of 22. There's just a lot of advance interest on it. And it does appear to float completely independent of all other advertising metrics.
The mix of advertisers is unique this year. Why?
Well, look, let's start with the fact that we don't have domestic auto in it, right? That's probably first. It's always the case that it's going to be attracting categories that don't advertise on television. And you see a lot of new brands from existing players, right? So you may not recognize the brand, but it's a Pepsi brand. It's a Anheuser-Busch brand, I think it will be really a pretty extraordinary presentation. There's a lot of very interesting creative that's going to run. Generally speaking, in tone that is kind of upbeat and happy. If we're talking about temperature check on the, let's say, mood of the nation, I think you'll see optimism in a lot of that messaging. and I think we are seeing that actually in the marketplaces as well. It's been a long time. We've been in the woods for a long time since the pandemic, and we're starting to see a lot of thaw, which is good.
Is there something we learned from the mix of advertisers? I mean, is there, other than what's obvious, I mean, these are expensive spots. This is airtime at a level of dollars we have not seen before.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to ask you how much 30 seconds of airtime costs, but John, how much does 30 seconds of airtime cost?
Do you read the news?
I do, but speculation is
it's the least kept secret, worst kept secret.
It's terribly, it's a poorly kept.
It's a very poorly.
You don't want to comment on that, do you?
I don't.
Yeah. I heard, and you can just like blink your eyes twice and shake your head once if I'm right, that it was close to $7 million a spot.
Correct.
Okay, so that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
From a dollar perspective.
It really is.
So what do we learn from the mix of advertisers, or is there just like people with $7 million? Is that pretty much the?
Well, I mean, I think that what's interesting about it is every buyer of a Super Bowl unit has their own story, right? They all have their own story. You look at a conglomerate like AB, number of units, right? They have their moment and place and time that has caused them to come in at that volume. We have a lot of units from advertisers that don't spend on television. They all have their kind of corporate generated stories, which you realize just how one of a kind the Super Bowl is, right? In terms of 115 million people watching last year. If you look at these teams that are playing this year, I would expect that number to be higher than it was last year. And all the interest, the peripheral stuff that is driving interest in the game, as Roger Goodell told us when he's presenting to the CBS Sports team in reference to a certain pop star. We support the relationship, but I think that the viewing is going to, we anticipate if the game's good, it's going to be higher than it's ever been, and think about the next biggest event. It's rungs and rungs.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even. There's another event. There are, what, 44 nights of television really in the world that.
Yeah, that's what you got right. Exactly.
Super Bowl, Oscars, Tonys, like you go down the list of playoff games. By the time you're done, it's roughly 44, 45 nights of TV. This is the night.
This is the night.
This is no question about it. So let's talk a little bit. I mean, Super Bowl, yay, we're here and it's awesome. And I'm very excited to go to the game, and this has been an unbelievable weekend and hasn't started yet.
Yeah.
But I'm really interested. There was a small group of organizations, who you might want to not name out loud, but I won't ignore them, that decided they're going to put a sports bundle together this week, and they're going to go at streaming a different way. They left out a couple of companies, including yours, and the trend towards streaming is obvious. The broken model is obvious. Broadcast is going to show off this weekend all its strength. If awareness solves your problem, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to television.
Yeah.
Good then, good now. We got a couple good nights in us, and this is the best one. From where you sit, and obviously your mandate is giant, and you're this global mandate, you're trying to help marketers across the board. Where are we in the world of media mix modeling, in the world of where in your whole group of things that you encounter every day, where are you seeing the most interesting traction and the best bang for the buck, and does any of that inform a trajectory of the business for you?
Well, it's interesting you brought up the JV, the Fox WBD, ESPN JV. It's sort of pitched as a consumer streaming service.
That's how they.
And we all looked at that announcement. By the way, if you're on the outside, no one knew it was a really well kept secret. You go like, well, wait a minute. Isn't there like an issue with the leagues? Isn't there an issue with how's it going to be staffed? There are all these questions. It turns out that it's less a streaming service and more like a VMVPD, right? It's more like a YouTube TV type of product. It's a skinny bundle, internet delivered skinny bundle cable package, okay? It's going to carry live feeds from these networks, right? When the NBA is not on TNT, you're watching The Closer or whatever else is on TNT, right? That's the way to think about that.
But is that, so from a consumer perspective, everybody got what they deserved. Everyone screamed, I want to cut the cord, it's going to be cheaper for me. Everyone who knew anything about the universe said, no, it won't, and it will be less convenient. And the industry itself took the bait. Every creative service director would have told you, you're going to destroy your brands. You can't, there isn't a child under the age of 18 that can tell you what a network brand is. They only know shows if they know that.
I own 3 teenagers.
So we've done to ourselves as an industry all of the damage, like no one has to. We can't hurt ourselves any more than we already have. No one can hurt us from the outside any more than we hurt ourselves. This skinny bundle feels like a new Coke becoming Coke, but instead of taking a few weeks to make a decision, it would be 15 years.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I think there's still some details out there. What its impact is going to be, I think there's a wide range of opinion about that.
Sure.
Right? It obviously depends how it's priced. Now remember, YouTube TV costs $73 a month.
Somewhere like that, yeah.
There's been speculation that this will price in the 40 to 50 range. There's probably $40 to $50 from wholesale affiliate costs in there, okay? I mean, just to, right, like, and I'm sure that this is not going to be taken well by their distribution partners, right? It's an over-the-top service. So I think that there's, you have to ask yourself, what does this replace? What are people going to cancel? They can cut cord. They can be cutting the cord and getting YouTube TV right now. Sling, by the way, very efficiently priced for what you get, right? So we'll see what the uptick is there. My personal opinion on this is that there's a little bit of overreaction. When you read the headlines, it's like, this is going to change everything forever and ever.
It can't.
And it's more to remind people that there are other services that have those products.
For sure. It's more of a trend indicator, I think, than it is the indication of anything else. And I don't think it's a solution. The fact that Disney loves it so much tells you how bad it is for you and me as consumers.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't love it. So this is really, to me, the question is, streaming is so broken. Is it fixable? That's question one.
Yeah.
Question two is, if it is fixable, is this the methodology? Is it to bundle? Is okay, we're all bundled up. It's back. Yay! We've
re-aggregated, right?
Yes.
Essentially, I think that's what you see, both in terms of the types of content you can see on a lot of these services, right? And I'll talk about Pluto, because I'm obviously very familiar with it. We've owned Pluto since 2019. That is essentially a cable service. If you think about how it gets programmed, and the kind of stuff that's on there, it's extremely compelling. And Pluto's a moneymaker. A ton of people spend a lot of time on Pluto, and it does tend to reflect the kind of range of consumer interests that a cable package would. Now, there's also Tubi. There's also Samsung TV, right? There's also all of these, LG and the device manufacturer. WebOS products. The business has so many potential consumer touch points that you begin to ask yourself, okay, what is the method of aggregation? Not just for the SVODs, right, but also for these other kinds of services. I think it's become very, very difficult to buy media. It's been very, very difficult to manage campaigns and optimize campaigns. There are 1,000 different ways to measure consumption. Everyone has their own version of data, some first party, some third party, some of it's syndicated. I think that it's not just the consumer that finds it confusing, but also the buyers who I think are continually asking us to help them solve the problems of reach aggregation and, let's say, identity resolution and unification.
So in the old days, networks competed against each other. Now, clearly, networks of all kinds, aggregated, wired and unwired networks, compete against big tech, who are not in the video business, the media business is in. They're in the business of selling either hardware or whatever else they sell, and video is just a thing they do. Although you can't really tell that as a consumer, you have no idea. For you, it's a video product you want to watch.
Absolutely.
So now we find ourselves in this really interesting crossroads. When you think about Pluto, and free is very pro-consumer, that is television over the public internet. End of story. That's what it is. Fast is that. And there's a whole segment of the population that's in love with that. As a marketer, I have one job and one job only. I am here to drive velocity of goods and services at retail or B2B. Drive velocity, drive growth. That was really easy on television. You bought TV, your sales went up. You didn't buy TV, your sales went down. Those days are gone. So I've got a really wide range of consumer products to choose from. I've got consumers that are confused. I've got business owners that are confused. And clearly, the marketers aren't confused, but the agencies do seem to be. So is there and I'll add one thing to this mix to finish the question, which is Facebook has 7 million customers. At best, a big media company has a few thousand. The path and the goal would be to get somewhere closer to the way big tech is approaching it. They are the enemy. Discuss.
Well, you're correct. I would say the traditional advertiser roster, top of the funnel, consists of, a few thousand, right? But programmatic advertising has opened up a long tail.
Yeah.
And Paramount had 39,000 different advertisers last quarter. 39,000. A lot of them are coming through SSP platforms like Magnite, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes these buys land in the triple digit, hundreds of dollars, right? But you can see the impact. The promise of digital always was there is no longer a threshold for investment because you're buying impressions one at a time. And that's going to open up a long tail. Now, this prognostication was made a decade ago, but we're really starting to see it now. What we have also done is we've leaned into SMB. So we have a pilot, SMB self-service product for small businesses. That is going to be launched in full probably by the summertime. We just hired the head of SMB from Spotify. We hired the head of SMB at TikTok to work with her. So we've got, we actually have platform-like experience. We need to be platform-like expertise into our SMB, which is just a marketplace expansion effort. We're very, very excited about that. But the first point I was making is that programmatic proves that connected TV can be used as a performance vehicle. And this is something that I think is very, very interesting. You're going to start to see, if you think about traditionally, you sort of top of the funnel, national TV advertisers, you have local TV advertisers, you have display media, you have digital video, you have out of home, you have print, you have all these things. You can see the way that the share shifting has happened over time. Facebook ate the classified section of news. It ate the newspaper business, right? I think what you're going to see next is, if you think about shopper budgets, that increasingly we're starting to see shopper budgets get activated through retail media data sets targeted to connected TV, all right? The attribution products that are now available for connected TV players are multiple and incredibly high integrity, right? Like great stuff. Walmart has a trade desk implementation. You can target and you can track on the basis of Walmart data right now. And we feel like this is it's an interesting moment for connected TV because it is going to begin to behave more like performance marketing players, more like platforms. Everyone's excited about Amazon coming out with an ad product, ad-supported Prime Video. The buying community thrilled about that. Why? Targeting, attribution, closed loop, instantaneous.
How does that impact Paramount? Is that good for you or bad for you?
Well, it's going to, obviously, you have 3 points of viewing share. that is now commercialized. So like you've seen a lot of the assessments of the value of Prime Video is $3 billion of inventory is about to hit the market, right? It's definitely going to spread dollars around. I think that honestly, the inventory estimates that have been put out by the analysts are missing a couple things. In the first case, a lot of the Prime Video consumption is happening out of Amazon channels whose inventory we don't control.
Right.
A lot of the usage will convert to ad-free for $3 more a month. Freebie is also included in that. But at the bottom of it all, it's a lot of inventory that's going to be coming on the market that has tremendous fidelity. And it's it's a good product that it's going to cause all of us to up our game. And, we're going to have a response to it. It just goes back to, what I said before. The trend for connected TV is going to be increasingly, the language is going to increasingly weight towards performance marketing.
So let's take a second to completely blue sky and speculate the future. The world's a little bit upside down. It'll right itself at a certain point. The advertising business is unrecognizable from where it was just 12 months ago. There's no way you can sit here and call yourself with any straight face an expert in any of this now, and I've been in this since the earth was cooling, and I'm guaranteed to know less today than I knew 12 months ago.
Exactly.
In fact, I know less today than I knew yesterday.
Yeah, it was that joke at IB. I said, things change so fast, it keeps you very, very young. It's a huge pain in the ass, but I said, the thing is, we keep getting older, but digital stays the same age. And, it's just perpetually the state of adolescence. And the moment you think it's one thing, it becomes another. TikTok was not around in 2017. And I think for a long time we thought, okay, it's settled. YouTube, Facebook, et cetera, there it is. No, a new giant emerges, what seems like every few years.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And be it with us, look, that's the whole point. Technology marches on. For us, we're in a place where all of the data sets can now be brought together in ways that could never be brought together before. Streaming data, batch data, environmental data, behavioral data, put all that together. And of course, in a generative AI world, you can put the right message from the right person, right place, right time, at low or no cost, and in near or real time because it's generated, not curated. That we know. What we don't know is that's all fun to say, but at the end of the day, a bunch of people in 2022 started thinking about 30 seconds of airtime this Sunday.
Yeah.
And that isn't going to change as quickly as the tech is going to change.
Right.
So as we started this conversation saying no matter what goes on with Paramount and National Amusements, from a local cluster world, it's going to be pretty stable. It's just going to be stable. How do you see the next 12 months? I'm a marketer. What do you need to know?
The business is moving into one around data and platform or system interoperability. That is the trend. Buyers bring different kinds of data sets into play. As a seller of media, you have to know how to activate them. You have to play in a bunch of different lanes. You have to be agnostic. You can't be the one dictating the lane in which activation happens. And we're very early on in this journey. I think the first sort of attempt to standardize this, let's say, because things were like all over the place, particularly with the introduction of advanced segment, advanced advertising, advanced targeting, beyond the Nielsen demo, which started to get traction probably a decade ago. We formed OpenAP to standardize, audience definitions so that buyers could understand that this segment transacted over here with this publisher was defined the same way as what they're transacting over there, so that we could create common denomination and media could be valued appropriately, and share could be allocated in the right way. Those are like the basic fundamental things. When you move away from a unified standard measurement, which Nielsen, you like it or hate it, was
the exchange currency of the television.
It was common denomination. We're now in a period where There are multiple denominations. We live in a multiple currency world. We have hundreds of millions of dollars trading on different things besides deals. We have billions of dollars trading on things besides deals. And I think, you know, the question is like, how do you see the next year or so? It's going to be about unifying these measurement sets in a way that allows for a single view of the household, right? And improving the way that these different data sets resolve to those households, right? There's a lot of focus on this. It's a priority, both the sell side and the buy side. It's necessary to unlock the value of premium TV. You know, Paramount Plus is a lot different than display media on Facebook, right? But the reality is that we need to have identity layers that allow that value to be unlocked. The other thing that's interesting about the new currencies that have come into play is because they can be optimized in flight, they're more capable of delivering higher reach and more, you know, in-segment targetability. And so they're much more effective. You look at the conversion stats of these campaigns that are run through, let's say, video, you know, new currency video, and compare it to a Nielsen 18 to 49 guaranteed deal. I mean, you're seeing conversion rates that are multiples of traditional media. And our focus on this, on getting that data layer, getting system interoperability, bringing standards into it, is really imperative, because it's the thing that shows our product what it can do. It's fundamental to what we're going to be working on in the next year. We've been, by the way, this is a journey that started, you know, 7 years ago. That is, you know, is going to continue to, say, improve the product so that buyers can achieve what they need to achieve with these investments.
I think that's a job for Mike Moment, young man. Ladies and gentlemen, John Halley, President.